Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and I'm the host of this podcast here. Welcome back to your day off. Hey, today I don't have a co-host. It's just going to be me and my new friend here. Um, Listen, I just had an incredible weekend that I really want to talk about a little bit. I am such a big fan of the events and the shows that happen within our industry. And what I really like, what's really happening now, and this may have been happening for years, but it's certainly new on my radar, is just the how the shows are different. They're not all big trade shows. They're not all like Premiere or ABS, and I love those things too. And there's a place for those things. But this weekend I was in Nashville for the Masters of Balayage Hero Retreat, and man, was that fun! It was such a great time. It was so like hairdresser centric, and like if someone dropped an F-bomb on stage, no one really cared. It was just a lot of fun. And then the weekend ended with Jacob and Ben, and you know that they always bring the chaos, and they certainly brought the chaos this past weekend. But listen, if you're looking for a different type of show that's filled with motivation, that's filled with education, Masters of Balayage, a Hero Retreat, which I think they do. I think Ryan does it once a year. It's really a different show. It's really fun. It's definitely a place where you can, certainly being in Nashville, you can put your hair up or you can put your hair down. You know what though? I want you to get into my DMs and answer this. Like, is Nashville the only city in the country that you need a dress code? Because I swear everybody comes like dressed up the same when you're in Nashville. Like, there's always the pink hats and the white cowboy boots. I don't know if there's like a dress code in other cities, but there certainly is one in Nashville, and it just kind of it delights me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. But listen, talking about shows. Today's guest that's coming on the podcast is Tatum Neill. And listen, Tatum and I we're in the same room all the time. And I'm going to be honest, like there's nobody in the industry right now that makes me feel more like an imposter than Tatum does. I just find him like one of the coolest dudes in the industry. He totally intimidates me, and I'm embarrassing him a little bit now because I didn't even tell him that I was going to go here. But he definitely brings me back to like high school imposter syndrome. He's also the dude that has like all the jobs in the industry, and I'm so interested in his entire story. From being like honestly the industry's DJ to the industry's like a party thrower to also being a hairdresser, also just being a cool dude. And certainly the times that I've had conversation with him, he's just like he's a chill, laid back dude, but he absolutely positively intimidates me. So please welcome to the show, Mr. Tatum Neill. Tatum, what's up, buddy?
I was just over here intimidating people. That's what I do.
Dude,
Constantly.
it was that's definitely true, man. Like
that's
certainly like when we first
sweet of
met
you to
and stuff,
say.
I was like, oh God, man, I'm like, this guy is so freaking cool, man.
Sweet. What's up, man? Nice to see you on your platform. Talk to you. Just chilling here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Just hanging out. Been traveling a lot myself, actually.
Oh, where have you been up to?
Man, I had this crazy whirlwind of a tour last 10 days. I had to go to Houston to do like an event. We have this thing called Locals Night that we do it in salons, which is like hairdressers, doing hair, talking shop. Then went to New York Fashion Week, saw a couple shows, hung out with some friends, then went to Hairbrain's big event out in Palm Springs. And then I went to Minneapolis for some meetings, which were actually kind of cool, just doing some product development stuff with Aveda. And then came home, and now I'm just hanging.
Well, I mean, you just pretty much explained all the jobs that I just talked about. So you're all over the place there, man.
Yeah, it was a lot in 10 days.
How'd you find the industry? How'd you get into the industry?
I kind of ran away from the industry, to be honest with you. My grandfather started a sort of a shampoo distribution business in the 40s. My dad took it over in the 70s, was really influential in bringing new hair talent to the States. He brought Tony and Guy to the States before they had a product line even. Just went to, I'm drawing a blank on the big London hair show. I think it's like Salon International, I think. Saw them, thought they were cool, brought them to the States to kind of show off to, our community here. Paul Mitchell was the best man at my mom and my dad's wedding. Horse was around when I was in utero. So I kind of just been around all this hair stuff my whole life. And like most kids who have a family business, I ran away from it. So I went to college, got my degree at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, actually in environmental policy, coincidentally. And then I was kind of working with Aveda and Neil in that context as sort of a corporate tree hugger educator, if you will. And I thought hair would be a good side hustle. My dad had been trying to get me to do hair forever, and I was like, no. But I wanted to get my master's, was enrolled at Tulane, and Katrina happened actually and kind of threw me off course a little bit. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go to New York. I had a friend living out there. I'm going to learn this hairdresser thing with no big deal. And then, a year later, I'll enroll in re-enroll and get my master's. And I just kind of fell in love with the craft. I fell in love with New York City. I got a DJ gig right away in New York, which kind of helped me, made New York very sticky. And
Hmm.
then I spent like 10 years working with this guy named Nick Arrojo, doing hair for hair, one of his big educators and platform artists. And my family drugged me back from Brooklyn, kicking and screaming, back to Louisiana. That was about, I don't know, 15 years ago.
That's amazing. So you were DJing before you got to New York?
Yes, I started DJing when I was a kid. I snuck out and went to a rave in New Orleans. There's this guy named Disco Donnie, and he was really influential in the electronic music scene. There's actually a documentary about him. And then he was briefly mentioned in that Area 51 documentary thing that came out like on Netflix. I think you could kind of see him. But I went to one of his parties when I snuck out and I was in high school, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to be. And I got a loan from my godfather. I was about 18. Got my first set of turntables, and that's been a passion of mine for even longer.
Is that your first love?
I think that was the first thing I was like, I want to do this. This is something I want to do. I mean, in high school, you're just doing whatever, and college was something that I was just going to do. I mean, I was excited about it, and stuff. But that was the first kind of like passion of mine for sure.
That's amazing, man. And then, so how long have you been in New Orleans?
I feel like I've been back in New Orleans for close to 15 years now. I'm really bad at math these days. The
It's
COVID
fine.
really
It's fine.
screwed. I don't know what time it is.
All the years run together. Where
Yeah,
where'd you
yeah.
grow up?
I grew up outside of New Orleans, or in Hammond, which is on the. If you look at Louisiana, it's like a boot shape, and there's a big lake. I lived right
Mhm.
above the lake, but New Orleans is a very important part of our life. We had salons here. I was in New Orleans very regularly, and in high school. Sorry, mom, I was sneaking out and going to going to raves in New Orleans.
We all did, man. Sorry,
Right,
Tatum's mom. We all did that stuff.
right.
Hey,
I think
what?
she knows now.
So Neil is like I learned so much last year about like the Neil. Is it Neil Corporation, Neil Company, whatever the
Yeah,
Neils
new
are?
corporation is what we call it. Yeah.
So you're an Aveda
It's
distributor,
okay. So
but
it's
you guys also have a
complicated.
bunch of schools and stuff too, right?
Right, it's actually not complicated, but, it started off, like, back in the day before the Sassoon era, salons would just, like, they would need cream rinses and hairspray and stuff to get your hair done at the salon. And then post Sassoon, when my dad took over the business, that's when sort of the idea of wash and wear hair became a thing, right? And so to get a haircut and the cut to be the style, you would need some sort of home care to maintain that. And so that's when our business model really shifted in the and I guess like in the 90s at some point when I was like in high school, I can't remember. We stopped being a multi-line distributor and exclusively went with Aveda. And then shortly thereafter, we got back into the school business. And so we have like just under 20 schools across the nation that are called Aveda Arts and Sciences. We've got almost 10 salons here in the Louisiana area, and we are the largest distributor of Aveda outside of Aveda themselves. So we're from Texas to Tennessee. We sell shampoo.
We sell shampoo.
I
Very
mean,
accurate as well.
basically, we would do more than that, but yes, that's kind of the thing.
That's cool. And I wonder, like last year, and I wanted to talk to you about this actually, is like I know that like Serious Business, which by the way is an incredible. We were talking about shows earlier. It was an incredible show. It to me, it's like the TED Talk of the industry.
Great
I've
analogy.
never. It works, right? So I've never like been to like a we'll call it a talkie hair show. We'll call it a talkie show. And I've never like I would literally go and use the bathroom and I'd have FOMO because I felt like I was missing something inside. I've never really sat through like 8 hours of like talkie, without a lot of hair education, but felt like I was missing out on something. Like I had to run back in the room because something magical was happening because each speaker that you had or each speaker that you brought in last year was exactly that for me. However, before we get into that, I
Mhm.
hadn't heard about Serious Business until like 2 years ago, and I'm not sure why it was such a big blind spot for me. Maybe because, and maybe I'm looking for a little bit of clearance here, is that we have these communities. We have like the L'Oreal, the Redken, the Paul Mitchell communities, all these communities, and then maybe because I was never part of the Aveda community, maybe that's why it was a blind spot for me. But I got to tell you, man, it is such a great, great, great event. And it's so, and I'm glad it happens in January too, because it's so motivating. It kind of like pushes you into the year. Anyways, let's chat that through.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's one of these sort of like hidden gems in the industry. Serious Business and Elevate are both brand neutral in the sense that they're not branded events, and I think over half of our attendance isn't from the Aveda network at all. Although we do have quite a bit of the Aveda network that does come to it. Yeah, it's one of those things that I almost feel like serious business is a bit of a misnomer. It's been around for a long time. And when you said TED Talk, that really hits because we've had people like Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, Malcolm Gladwell. And back in the day, when we first started, we had Deepak Chopra actually come twice. It really, if I could kind of boil it down to this, is that business development starts with personal development. And so serious business is really a great thing to go to. If you're a hairdresser, if you're a salon owner, if you're a plumber, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, it doesn't matter because no matter what, if your head's not right, your business isn't going to be right. And so that's what serious business is about. It's about getting your head right. The timing is really important as part of the idea is that January is a great time to kind of take a step back, try to see the forest instead of the trees. And every year personally, there's someone that hits just really in a way that I couldn't have anticipated and is really impactful for me personally. And we throw the event. So I'm sure you did have a little FOMO and I'm sure you left feeling differently about not just what you do and your business, but your life and maybe some of your life choices. And I think that's the best part about it.
I mean, okay. Little get real for a sec. Well, we were very fortunate enough because I think, don't quote me on this, but I think we had 4 of your speakers last year on the podcast this past year. So for me, as far
Wow.
as like a networking and creating content for that bit was awesome. I will say we had backup. So we had Elizabeth Faye on, but I mean, she's a buddy, so she's on all the time, but she definitely came on right after we did the event and we got to talk about the event there. We had Rebecca Heiss on, who's amazing. Rebecca and her theory about stress is like mind blowing to me. About like we need the stress and we should double down on the stress, which I'd never kind of heard that perspective. So we definitely did a podcast with her. Matter of fact, I think she just launched her book right now. I wish I wasn't brain farting. I'd give her a shout out for what the book is. But look up Dr. Rebecca Heiss. She's got a different perspective about stress.
Yeah.
And honestly, the person that changed my life more than anyone probably in my entire life was we had Light Watkins on the podcast. And Light
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and he's a dope dude. He is a meditation coach. I think he's Meghan Markle's meditation coach, but I'll
Yeah.
tell you this:
He's a big guy. I mean, he's like
he knows
famous.
stuff. He knows his stuff.
Yeah. And stuff for sure.
We had him on the podcast, and back in July, and I talk about this all the time on the podcast, but because I'm proud of it, not because I'm ashamed of it. However, I went to Cambodia and I did the Hair Aid project in Cambodia. And when I had Light Watkins on the podcast, I said, hey, give me some advice as far as traveling alone and traveling to Southeast Asia. And literally when I arrived in Cambodia, I thought of his advice at least 10 times a day. And that advice was, Tatum, that whenever you're traveling alone or whenever you do these kind of projects, there's 2 journeys that you're going to be on. There's the first journey. That's the journey that includes the airplane tickets, the hotels, the excursions, and all that. And he goes, but the second journey, the spiritual journey, the one that God needs from you, the one that the universe needs from you, is that second journey. And that journey always happens in between all those plans. And a lot of times it feels like stress. And what
Yeah.
I'm going to encourage you to do is to stay present. Now, what I didn't realize when he said that to me, which I did realize once I got to Cambodia, is that there is no presence without the surrender. So,
Mm.
I was, again, he was top of mind the whole time. And I just kept thinking, like, this is my way to presence. And my way to presence is surrendering to what I think, what I know, what I think I know, or what is real. And for the first time in my life, I literally sat in what felt like the real truth, which is
That's beautiful, man.
without.
I love hearing that. And how would you I mean, explaining that to someone that you could get that type of, mentality from going to a hair event, I think that just kind of would be shocking to most people.
Well, yes. And it's not a hair event. It's a people
Right.
event.
Fair. Fair. It's a people event.
It's a people event. And it's like, it's called serious business, and never did anyone bring up numbers. Never did anyone bring up how to do their
Yeah.
accounting. Never did somebody. So maybe that's why it was kind of like lost on me a little bit, but it's not that and so much more than that. And I think you said it right. Like it's the precursor to all that stuff. It's the precursor
Yes.
about where your brain is. And it had way more to do with leadership skills or understanding your leadership skills or understanding whatever. Like it was like I said, I had FOMO when I left, went to the bathroom. and not usually a time that you have FOMO, but it's just such a great, great, great event. And I can't speak highly enough about it, honestly. And I've been speaking highly about it for a year now because it's still very much top of mind. And here's what was weird though, Tatum, is that I went. We had Deborah on the podcast, earlier last year or late last year, whatever, right before the event. And we talked about it. I had no idea that you guys that there was a relationship between you guys. When I showed up and I saw you and Deborah together, I go, well, of course that makes sense. But it was funny how those things don't connect. It's like the wife finding the socks that you lost.
Right. It's yeah, we're a big family. Deborah is my stepmother. She's been like a mother to me my whole life. She's the matriarch of the business. And there's a lot of us. We got a lot. I have 5 brothers, 2 sisters. We all pretty much work in the family business. So it's confusing. And usually what we do is we like to invite people and then we give them a pop quiz at the end of an hour and try to make them do the family tree. No one passes. It's hard.
No, it's impossible to pass, I think. Hey, speaking of events, tell me about Elevate? How did it come about? What was the motivation behind it? Like, it's such a very, very, very cool event. I mean, once again, I go there and I feel all imposter syndrome, but that's a me problem, not a Tatum problem. But tell me about Elevate and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Elevate. Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier that my family drugged me back from New York kicking and screaming, right? So, I'd spend a lot of time with Nick and I was kind of his DJ, if you will, when we would travel and do shows and after parties and things like that, which is a big badge of honor because he was quite a huge DJ in his own right back in the day. I also was hanging with Gerard and he was getting this hairbrain kind of kicked off and he was doing this thing called Teach-In. And that was the first time I saw various brands on stage together. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that because, we kind of get a little insular in our discipline and thought just in life in general, I think. And I think when you have strong brand culture and training and stuff like that, I think that becomes even stronger. And so to see different people from different disciplines and different backgrounds and brands, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then take me out of New York and I missed all that world of educating, being a platform artist and stuff. And I was DJing, but they weren't connected. And so one day I thought it would be cool to do like a little hair jam, if you will, a little hang session with my salon. And I wanted to invite the salon across the street. And literally, there's a salon across the street from mine, and I see their staff, I see their employees, and I see their guests, right? And I'd never been in there, and it's like right there to throw a rock at it. And so I went and I said, "Hey, we're doing a little thing. If you guys want to come and just hang out, or if you want to do some hair with us, we'd love to hang. That'd be cool." And they did. We had a couple beers, we did some haircuts, and listened to some music, and that was kind of like the beginning of what Elevate was. And 2 things that happened that were really important. One was that idea of community and reaching across the aisle and connecting with someone that you wouldn't otherwise do. And the other was the sort of music integration. Like when I started it, I thought it'd be fun to educate and teach. And I was kind of thinking about that and how you typically do platform work. But there was like 6 people in there. And the second time there was maybe 10, right? So I had made a DJ mix and I thought, you know what, why don't we just turn the DJ mix up? I just wanted to hear it. How did it sound? Was it good or not? And honestly, I didn't know. It was the first time I'd heard it. And I did the best demo of my life. I didn't have to like explain anything. I was able to pivot. Sometimes you get in the back of the head and you think it's going to go one way, but then you got to pivot. And when you're teaching, you're painting yourself in a corner, kind of, right? You kind of have to agree. You have to do what you said you were going to do, right? Or do a lot of explaining. And so just the ability to just focus on my work, I was able to get into what I would call the flow state, that you get in as an artist, right? When everything else you kind of get tunnel vision and you're not even thinking, you're just kind of doing and art is happening. And that was like light bulb moment. This is it. Let's not talk at all. Let's just have music and let's let the artist kind of feel the flow. And then we started to take this to different cities. It was really important for me. I think there was kind of a need at Neil Corporation to kind of go and do some activations and generate energy in our network. But it was important for me to not go to a different town and say, hey, I'm the cool guy. This is what's cool. I thought it was better to go to a different town and say, hey, you seem to be the cool guy. What do you think is cool? And that kind of is how it started. We just wanted to go to different areas and see what was happening there. And it shouldn't have been a surprise, but it was little to see how every different town does hair a little different, has a different aesthetic, a different vibe. And that's kind of how it started. And today, I think what keeps it going, because it's more or less a nonprofit, right? We don't take brand sponsorships. We don't charge at the door. Historically, we haven't charged at the door. I just try to create platforms for artists to express themselves. And what keeps me going is seeing someone's face who might be in the industry 2, 3 years, might be in the industry for 30 years, who knows? And you can have different experience levels, different disciplines. You'll have a barber, a cutter, a stylist all on stage at the same time. Everyone's welcome. But to see someone put their heart and soul into something, into a haircut, a style, whatever it is, and to execute it and to see the crowd respond to that and the model respond to that. And then you have the music. It just creates this really special moment. And I think it's a lasting memory for these hairdressers. And quite frankly, there's no one else doing it. I mean, like, you're not going to have a brand, and rightfully so, I suppose, right? They're not going to invest in a stage, invest in the energy, put people on stage and not go, hey, buy this, right? It's just how it is. And so it's been a really amazing thing. We're in our 10 years of doing it, from that little salon moment to where it is now. And just seeing people's face light up on stage is what does it for me.
It's really cool. It's definitely like the industry's after party. It's like when you go to a cool event, and then then you start to see people talk about the Elevate, and like, oh well, this is what's happening tonight, and it's absolutely a don't miss event. Like, it is just such a cool vibe. I mean, I kid it that I get imposter syndrome, but it's just a cool vibe of just like hairdressers from all walks and like all ages and all whatever, and it's just a super dope experience, and it's just. I also like it, and I talked about this with Masters of Balayage. Is like, it's so like hairdresser centric that it feels like right, and
Yeah.
it's like it's a place for us just to kind of get together and to bond for whatever that is, or bond over a haircut, or bond over what's happening on the stage, or the music, or the whatever, the drinks, whatever it is. It's just a cool vibe. How do you so when you're in different cities, you take elevator into different cities, what's your vetting process? And maybe that's even the wrong word, but what's your vetting process for finding like who the local talent is that's going to perform?
I mean, you're just going to shock people. I don't have a vetting process. There's 3 rules: no pyrotechnics, no animals, and no glitter. And I have a good reason for all 3 of those. And
Yeah, well,
experience.
glitter will never go away.
It's
Pyro,
look, we've got DJ gear on stage with hairdressers, right? So for those who don't know, it's like 4 stools and a DJ, no talking, no sales, and the stools are rotating around. So there's never an empty moment, and hopefully you program it so there's something for each audience member, and the audience gets to see artistry in flow, which you don't get to see at a trade show because we're talking, right? So we're not actually getting there. So they get to see true artistry. And I found that I can't predict what is cool or relevant. And if I can think of a dozen different moments where if you would have told me, hey, I'm going to do this, what do you think? I probably would have said, I don't know. But they did it and they pulled it off. So I really it's whoever wants to be on stage. It's really that simple. And if you're not experienced, it's a great opportunity because you don't have to talk. You can really do what you want to do without that fear. I think snakes and spiders are like 1, 2 most common fears, and public speaking is 3. And depending on who you ask, public speaking could be number 1. So we just remove all of that. And then for people who, are established, it's a great opportunity to do something that you might not be permitted to. Some brands might not want you to do certain looks, or you might have to sell hairspray, but you're really passionate about haircutting. A lot of brands sell haircuts, right? That's what we do. So maybe you just want to get up there and do a haircut, experiment, or just catch the vibes. And so I leave it open. I encourage everyone, no matter what your experience level is, if you have an idea that you want to get out, come get on stage.
So the pitch is more about what do you want to do than who you are, or where you're from.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And the audience doesn't really care. They're just here to connect with their community and for the vibes. And a lot of places I go, I'll hear that from people like, our community needed this moment. And this is something you'll hear me say on stage a lot. And, I truly believe that the most powerful person in the world is a hairdresser. And the reason being is we actually touch and interact with all of society. Hairdressers, if we collectively as a global community wanted to share a message, we could share a message with the entire globe, with 8 billion people in 6 to 8 weeks. That's really powerful. There's not another thing out there. There's not lawyers, doctors, teachers, anyone, religion, business, that can actually touch the whole world in such a short amount of time and with such lasting impact, right? But if hairdressers are going to realize that power, we have to find an opportunity to come together as a community first. And so that's also what Elevate is. It's an opportunity for us to be together and just be hairdressers, if not permanently, at least for one night.
That is such a great framing. I appreciate that, and thank you so much. That's such a great framing of the impact that we have and that we can have.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. Thanks, Tatum, man.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway already. So we can hang up right now. Hey, are you
Okay,
still
good.
behind the chair?
I'm minimally behind the chair, much to the chagrin of my clients. I'm like traveling so damn much. I have a small little pocket of clients that just wouldn't let me go, and I do them in between things. But sometimes I'm just traveling so damn much. I felt bad leaving my books open, and this was a 2-year kind of process of sort of getting that kind of right amount of behind the chair, because I do think behind the chair is important as well. But, when you're like, "I gotta cancel or reschedule because of this, that, and the other," and then I found, especially with Elevate, like, running the social media page, my head wasn't there. I wasn't
Yeah.
really doing the service part, and so I dialed back a little bit and try to, like I said, keep my regulars. I'm always doing creative models and things like that, um, regularly, but unfortunately, you can't just call up and book with me today.
No haircuts with Tatum. He ain't taking
Yeah.
you, man. He ain't taking you, brother.
Yeah, yeah. If look, hop in my DMs and I'll take whoever.
Getting his DMs. Hey, I did want to bring this up about Elevate. Like, there's no brand representation necessarily. But
Mhm.
dude, like the smiles in that room are incredible. Like it's amazing to kind of like watch both the artist on the stage, because they're all so daggone proud of what they just created, and it's just a cool vibe. But also the audience is like really engaged as well, and like it's really cool. And I don't know if you get to see this from your perspective, because you're usually up on stage, looking out over the audience. For me, when I stand in the back of the room, is to watch like collectively how everybody's pointing and talking about what's happening on the stage. And again, nothing's happening on the stage as far as verbally, but to watch like the audience point out. I wish I should probably take a photograph of it, even like if it's just a silhouette of just people pointing to the stage, because there's conversation going on about what's going on the stage. And I think sometimes if there's no communication on the stage, the communication happens in the audience about what they're seeing and what they're experiencing. So I think you remove that experience a little bit if somebody's talking, if that makes sense. Like they're writing their
Yeah,
own
I
story.
mean, I think that hairdressers are naturally social creatures, right? So we want to talk. We're doing it 24/7, right? And so one of the cool things about the show is that the music is just popping. So like you can do whatever the hell you want, And so yeah, people get to kind of get up and close and sometimes even banter with the stylists. I'm really prideful about the music we play there. And so you will see people on stage dancing, audience interaction and stuff. And we just did this one recently in Minneapolis. At it was after Aveda's big show. They asked me to do the after party, and they were cool to just let it be Elevate, and not branded or anything. But we had like 1,200 people. We sold out Prince's nightclub, First Avenue, which is like huge. That's like the biggest show we've ever done. And I think around like 12:30, I have a little bit of video of it. I saw someone doing their friend's hair in the audience. They just were so inspired that they just had to do something. And like normally that happens. We'll have someone say, "Hey, I didn't sign up, but I really want to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, get on stage. Fine. Here's some scissors. Go for it." But to see hair happening in the audience too, that was that was pretty awesome. So yeah, the audience is quite inspired. The people on stage are inspired, and I'm really trying to break that barrier down, that fourth wall, if you will, between the stage and the audience. I'd love it to be more integrated and try to make opportunities like that happen.
I'll tell you another wall that you broke down, and I don't know if this was intentional, but I'm going to guess that it was. Is that it's also, I didn't intend this to be an hour long Elevate conversation, but as we're talking about it, let's talk about it. The other wall that you broke down too is that, you have like big names like, I've seen Sam up there, Sam Villa up there, I've seen Presley up there, but also like you have like newcomers in the industry. You have young people that are coming in too that wouldn't necessarily have access to work alongside, the industry legends and idols and stuff. So that's very cool too. And I certainly know, I talked to Sam about it, and I certainly know Presley feels this way, is that it's really cool for them too. It's really cool for them to be working with people that are up and coming in the industry, or just have a cool thing to share.
Yeah, I think that it really speaks to the artists in us all, and I think that I had this kind of saying about, creativity and how it's really important for hairdressers in particular to express themselves creatively. No one went to hair school to do root touch-ups and bang trims, right? And that's paying the bills, okay? Like, I gotta pay the electric and thank you for my root touch-ups and my trims, you know? But that's not what got you in here, and if you're not tapping into the creative side of yourself, that part of you is slowly withering away. And that's what really, in my opinion, leads to a lot of job dissatisfaction and people leaving the career altogether because they forgot what they got in it for. And I think for a big platform artist, it can feel like a job too, like it looks all awesome on stage, but there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears happening backstage to get to that moment. And sometimes when you're doing your bit, it feels like a bit, it feels a little kind of canned and scripted and that part of you as a big artist, can die too. And so I think that what Elevate does is it allows people, regardless of your background and experience level, to tap into that artist side. And for someone who's really big to be able to tap into that, to have no rules, they can do whatever they want. No snakes, no fire, yes, but other than that, they can do whatever they want. And you feel the energy of the person next to you. Like you might be in your own head doing something and you look over and this person's done something just that's mind blowing. Or they're twerking with their model in the crowd. Like that kind of energy is infectious. And I think you kind of witnessed it from the audience perspective, but those people are also in the audience too, right? And so they feel that energy too. And so I find that no matter what your experience level is, you're having a good time on there. And sometimes people who work for big brands, they're always selling shampoo, and sometimes they just want to do a haircut, and that can be really rewarding for them.
And I think that's the vibe too. Like they can just do whatever they want. There's nobody, telling them, well, we've got to position this haircut so we can. Anyways, we all know how that stuff works. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
and
much.
again, no shade, no shade, no shade. I'm in the game too. This is just a moment, a different moment for people to be expressive.
I love it, and as a matter of fact, I've actually seen a couple mimic things of Tatum's Elevate thing as well around the industries. What do they say? Imitation is the greatest like form of flattery. So you should definitely be flattered by that because I'm definitely seeing more and more non-Elevate stuff that pops up that looks pretty similar to Elevate. But that's a
Yeah, I
whole nother
think
story
people
for
are
another time.
trying. I think people look. I'm going to say this. Some people are trying. I think some people are trying to do their own thing, and some people are trying to bite Elevate. I love that. If it's about building a community in your local community, I all for that, and I want to support that. And if it's like trying to steal Elevate's mojo, unless they book me as the DJ, they're really not going to be able to do that. So they can go ahead and try.
Fair enough. But you know what? The truth is, Tatum, is that as long, and I think you touched on it a little bit, as long as we're getting together and being able to enjoy each other in our space and stuff, and again, and when it's non-branded, when it's just like about like getting together and inspiring, like I'm all for it, like, everything's going to have its own element. I mean, it's just like, when, what makes you, you, but so no, will it be another Elevate? But, it'll be another version of what it is. And as long as the end goal is for us to get together as hairstylists in community, I mean, in community
Yeah,
for each other, not for some sales pitch or something. I'm
right.
down. And listen, I don't even mind the
Yeah.
sales pitch and stuff. I think that's kind of cool too when it's done right. But to talk about these kind of events, I think it's cool.
When it's done right and it's about the community, then that's what really matters. And I'm here for it. And I think that's what's really important. Again, we can't realize our full potential and power until we have community. And so wherever there's an opportunity, let's do it. I mean, when I go to trade shows too, I go to every trade show I can to, right? And it's not so I can learn the technique. It's so I could engage with the community. It's for the networking and for, the people. And that's why I go. And that every time I go, even though I'm tired and I don't want to, I leave feeling rewarded because I got to connect to the community that matters so much to me.
Same. Same. 100%. I agree with you completely. What are the dates of Serious Business? And it's always in New Orleans. Okay, back up. So it's always in New Orleans. It's always in January. And is this like the 45th year or something?
I don't know, man. I think it's like the 27th year.
Okay.
Yeah. I just work here. I don't know. I think that it's not quite 30 yet. It's always in New Orleans. We used to do it in the summertime, but for obvious reasons that became problematic. So now we do it. Usually it's it's the second or third weekend of January. I think this year it's 17th, 18th, 19th is that window. Forgive me. But yeah, it's after the new year. We want people to get through that. It's also right at the start of carnival season in New Orleans. which Carnival, or which people know as Mardi Gras, is Fat Tuesday, right? But Carnival season
Mhm.
is the same season internationally, whether you're in Brazil or the Caribbean or Europe and in Louisiana and New Orleans. So that's January 6th. That's the 12th night of Christmas, if you will. And it runs up until Fat Tuesday. It's based off of the Catholic calendar. So January 6th is like, the three kings and baby Jesus. And that's why we have a king cake with the baby in it. And that goes
Mhm.
right up until Easter, which is Ash Wednesday. And so oftentimes, sometimes depending on when Easter is, which dictates Mardi Gras, sometimes you get a little bit of a Mardi Gras kind of situation. You might see a parade, you might see some stuff. So there's that added little level of party sometimes, depending on the year. And this year, I think that it's an earlier Mardi Gras, so we might have a little bit of carnival activity happening too.
Oh, that'd be cool. That's very cool, actually. It also, it's centrally located. Like you're right there where the action is. I mean, I don't think I ate so well in my life than I did that weekend that I was there last year.
Yes, I had heard this comedian make the best joke about New Orleans, and he said that someone asked him how long he had been there. He'd been traveling for a bit, and he thought about it. He said, New Orleans, I think I've been here about 8 pounds.
Yes, I get that.
Because,
I think I
yeah,
I think I was there 8 pounds too, and I was there for 2 days.
yeah, it's so good. But yeah, that's the best part about it. And is that, tapping out of the, serious business for a second and getting literally the best meal you've ever had. Like, we do not play around with food here. It is legit. Every place you're going to go is going to be arguably the best meal of your life. We're great. And we love hospitality. We love taking care of people. We just hosted the Super Bowl last year. So it is in our DNA to take care of you. Southern hospitality definitely exists in the South, but in New Orleans, it's got way more flavor.
I literally was trying to go out and find a bad meal, Tatum. That was my goal, to go out and go to find a bad meal. And I actually ate it right at the hotel there. There's this little fast food shrimp place that I went, like, this is definitely a bad meal. And I go in there and I go, oh my God, this is so good. It's incredible. It's like this little like
Dude,
shrimp McDonald's, and it's delicious.
I'm going to give you a pro tip, okay? And hopefully I'm not going to blow
Yeah.
up the spot. But like on Monday of serious business, that hotel, the Roosevelt, makes the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life. Like, it's the best. They only do it on Mondays. And so you need to figure out how to get some of that chicken. It's insane.
Maryland's known for its fried chicken, and that's where I live. So, that's a big challenge there, Tatum.
Okay, well, let's do the Pepsi challenge with the fried
Let's do it.
chicken. You come eat serious business chicken on Monday, and then you tell me how it stacks up to your Maryland chicken.
I got to be honest with you. I never knew Maryland had a fried chicken thing until I was down south and people were advertising Maryland fried chicken. I'm like, we're known for our fried chicken? I had no idea. Had no clue. I'd never heard
I thought
that. I
there
knew
were
about the
crab cake.
crabs.
Right.
I'll
Full
take our crab
disclosure,
cakes, though.
yeah, full disclosure, the best fried chicken in the world is only like marginally better than just like Popeyes. Like, it's fried chicken, it's gonna work. It should work everywhere. So I'm not surprised that Maryland has good fried chicken. Fried chicken is delicious.
Wait a second. In the original Popeyes there in New Orleans?
Yes, we are the creators. I think their slogan is Louisiana Fast, which is a
I think you're right.
paradoxical statement, I have to say. But people in Louisiana are not fast. When I moved from New York, when I was busting tail in New York City, doing 13 clients a day, and then I got to New Orleans, and like my coworkers were taking lunch. They like literally blocked out lunch during lunch, like when people would theoretically be coming in on their lunch to get services. I'm like, you don't take lunch. You just eat when you can't. What do you, huh?
What?
During Mardi Gras, like that weekend, the salon has to shut down. There's parades. So like we're shutting down the salons Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And I can't get one service member to come in the day after Mardi Gras. They're not well, and
No, I bet
so
not.
we are accustomed to taking it slow, enjoying life, having a mint julep, having a Sazerac, all these little things. And actually, we had to, years ago, we had to adjust our serious business schedule because we weren't giving people enough time to eat, not because they were taking their time, but because the restaurants, there's no quick lunch. And if you, just like New Orleans culture, if it's Friday and you are going to lunch on Friday, you are not going back to work. You need to probably call an Uber to get you back home from your lunch on Friday. So Friday lunches
So
in New
that lunch
Orleans,
is saying is 3 days long.
yeah, you're going to be feeling it on Monday, that Friday lunch. Yeah. And anytime there's a big event like a Christmas, Easter, whatever, any Mardi Gras, anything that's happening, the Friday before lunch, the whole city is partying and celebrating whatever that lunch is. It's a
That
vibe.
It's amazing. Last year was my first time in New Orleans too. So I honestly, I'm equally as excited about coming back for serious business and to just experience New Orleans as well. So I'm very much looking
I'll
forward.
send you my
Looking
list. I
forward.
have a special list, a Google list for people who visit that have all my favorite spots in the city. So I'm going to send you that list after this call so you can get your reservations.
So can I just go, I know Tatum and they'll just let me in? Is that the deal?
In some places, but in most, no, you're gonna have to get that reservation.
I know Tatum, they're like, you're not allowed
I
in
don't
here with
have
your
the
snakes and
weight.
clip.
I don't have the weight in New Orleans as much as I do in the industry, but it's not bad. I'm getting there.
Yeah, it happens. Hey, what speakers do we have coming in? Are we allowed to talk about it?
You know what? I honestly, I I show up every year and I barely know any of the speakers, and I do this personally on purpose because I want to be surprised. I want to be caught off guard, and every year it's the best thing. Every year is the best one again and again and again. So me personally, I always am attending for the event. The speakers I know will hit and they do independently for me. Now, some people definitely like plan and study and really come out for the individuals, but I just love being surprised.
And remind me, is it a Saturday through Monday event?
Yeah, you want to get there Saturday. It's all day Sunday and Monday. We have a cocktail sort of networking thing on Saturday. You want to, in my opinion, I'd get there on Friday. I try to get there for New Orleans lunch on Friday. If I were someone in the audience, right? There's so much to do. There's so much to see. There's so much to eat and drink that I like to sort of bookend my trips with a little bit of R&R before and after. So yes, technically you come in Saturday night and you could be there Sunday, and then you can get on a plane Monday afternoon if you really just hate eating. But I recommend, planning for a little extra on the front end and the back.
I love that, and I highly recommend it as well. Tatum, what you up to this year, man? What's going on? What's going on with you?
Man, this year is rapidly ending, right? Like it's January's around the
Well,
corner.
kind of in my head, I'm
Doing
already in
some cool.
2026. So what's going on in 2026?
Right. Yeah. So, got a couple things in the pipeline. Going to Australia in a few weeks to speak at the South by Southwest conference. Just we just did. I just did that last year with a couple friends in Austin, that's where it started. And one of the organizers of the South by Southwest in Australia, they do one in Sydney, and now they do one in London. I guess they're 3 years into that expansion. Heard me speak and was like, "Would love to have you." And so I'm heading down to Australia for a couple weeks to speak at that conference. Going to check out. I think they have they have like a fashion week down there too. So I'm going to check out a couple fashion shows. Never been down there, so excited about that. Hopefully, get to check out some salons too and meet some digital friends down there. Then I'm heading to Toronto for the Contessa's, which is Canada's like sort of North American Hair Awards kind of thing, if you will. It's their hair
Mhm.
awards. And they booked Elevate to do the after party, which is pretty rad. So I'll be doing that in November. I think it's November 16th. I'll be in Toronto. And if you're listening and in Toronto, you want to get on stage, just hit me up. Everyone's welcome. And then we've got Serious Business, and the New Orleans Elevate is a kind of a big deal because that's like our homecoming. So I'll be rapidly planning that event. And then we're going to try to really do more elevates in 26, right? So we've got Houston in the pipeline. We've got Nashville booked. We've got Orlando booked in May, but I'm going to try to hit up at least 8 cities in 26, if not 10. So I'm going to be on the road doing hair, DJing, watching you guys do hair really is what I'm planning to do. So you'll see me everywhere.
Are you going to IBS in March? Is Elevate going to be there?
I'm going to be doing that. Hairbrain does their little thing, their
Monday
video
night?
awards. And we've done Elevate in tandem with that a few times. So I probably, unless they want me to do the after party, then I probably won't do it during that event. But we'll do another New York show. New York's one of my favorite cities in the world, obviously, and they do great hair. I kind of want to do one in Brooklyn, though. We just opened up a school in Dumbo, and it's really amazing. And across the street from our school, there's this kind of empty shell warehouse kind of looking space. It's a record shop, and like they do vintage t-shirts and records, and they've got a little stage. So I've been talking to the owner about maybe doing a elevate in that spot, which would be really cool. Like all the records and hair and all the stuff would be sick.
That's really dope, man. Tatum, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for making time for me this morning and telling me all about the
Absolutely.
events. I love the event space, man. Honestly, for the industry, and like we see each other at all these things, But I really like to kind of see. I think I actually open it up, just like all the different like events that are popping off and how they're different. Like again, from Serious Business to Elevate to like I said, I did Mob this weekend, which was filled with laughs and stuff like that. We have our event, Pressy Poe and Friends, which is kind of its own vibe as well. It's really cool. It feels like to me, and certainly talking about the 3 events, Elevate, Pressy Poe and Friends, and Mob, is like they seem to be more hairdresser centric, which I'm always a big fan of. Not this serious business isn't, but that's its own element in itself as well. But I always love seeing that, and I love seeing that hairstylists and hairdressing are controlling the narrative in these type of events. And it's hairdresser to hairdresser narrative, not come see me because I have a cool shampoo bottle kind of thing. And again, I no
Yes.
shade on that. That is what it is, but
Yep.
understand that we're also individuals as well.
Totally.
I think
Tapping into the artistry and like just honestly, it's been a big honor to be on your podcast. You're, I think, the first hair podcaster, or one of the first, and you've got great reach, and your interviews are always great and behind the scenes. And so I'm really grateful to be here, and uh, thank you for elevating our platform even more. And I can't wait to see it serious business. And look, the fried chicken challenge, that's going to happen. So we're going to find
it's
out.
going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. I'll see you there, and we'll be greasy fingered together. Finger looking good, as they say.
Yeah, you're right.
Tatum, thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you for making the time, and Mr. Tatum Neill, thank you very very much for joining us on Yo